The defending champion on stage, Andrew Gilding, looking to retain the title. Only 3 players have won back-to-back UK Opens in history. Phil the Power Taylor, Barney, Raymond van Barneveld, and mighty Michael van Gerwen. Can Andrew Goldfinger Gilding join that illustrious company? Well, to do so, he's going to have to beat Peter Snakebite Wright. Now, if you had said that this game was being played, what, a month ago, 6 weeks ago, you'd think, ooh, Andrew Gilding, I might even make him favourite for it, because Peter Wright is floundering. But there have been encouraging signs from Snakebite in recent weeks. He is still nowhere near his best. There are still some worrying performances from Snakebite. But he won 10-3 in his opening game here this weekend against Joshua Richardson. It was a 94 average, and that kind of solid stuff, even that had been eluding him through the worst part of his slump. We saw him average more than 103 against Luke Littler in the Premier League a couple of weeks ago. He lost that game, granted. He lost on Thursday night to Nathan Aspinall with an average in the 90s. There is still so much to do for Peter Wright to get back to being the Peter Wright of his best, the man who's won this title, the man who's won 2 world titles. But it could be back at any moment, Paul.
Could be. Sometimes you've got to build towards these things, but
45.
This place has been very kind to Peter Wright in the past, because he's one of a very select few who apparently like to throw with an odd-coloured flight and stem, which gets my goat. Do as you like, Pete. However, in this place, he has done the double. He has won the Players' Championship Finals and won the UK Open. And he's also the first person ever in this tournament to be a 2-time runner-up. We had a string of different runners-up from the start in 2003 all the way through to 2014. But in 15 and 16, Peter Wright became the first 2-time runner-up. He did it back-to-back.
Yeah, it was always a different combination of finalists, wasn't it, for the first, well, more than a decade of this tournament. It's only when MVG beat Peter Wright 2 years running in the final that we saw that streak brought to an end.
But then the following year, when he made his 3rd consecutive final, he got himself across the line, and that's the first thumbs up of this game here.
Well, I can promise you we're not going to see the same final as last year, because Gilding could be there, but Michael van Gerwen will not. Now, 180's traded by these two. Peter Wright looking good for a breaker throw early doors. Looking very good now.
Darts are going in very solid for Peter. I like the angle of attack.
78.
Ominous in this Suffolk derby. I know he plays for Scotland, but he lives in Suffolk. So does Andrew. Double top. Snaky with the long sleeves on in a somewhat chilly Minehead. Looking very comfortable after leg 1. That's a break through immediately.
Game on.
Consequently, Peter Wright has not made the final of the UK Open since he won it.
It is a tricky tournament, though, isn't it? The open draw, and yes, all right, I remember this title defence was ended by Nathan Rafferty, of course. But last year he was beaten by Richie Burnett, somehow. Burnett averaging 87 in that game, pretty much 7 points, 8 points less than Peter Wright, and still won it 10-8. 2022, it was Willie O'Connor who did for him, despite averaging over a ton in that one. That was in the last 16. An early exit to Dave Chisnall in his very first game the year before that. I mean, that's what this tournament does. It pits some of the biggest names against each other very early on. Mensur Suljovic and Darryl Gurney, the other players to beat him. And, you know, going back to those years, Mensur Suljovic and Darryl Gurney, top players at the time.
Premier League players.
100.
I was remarking to you at the start of this game that that shirt from Snakebite, you can't look directly at it. It makes you feel like you're a little bit fuzzy in the head department.
Well, I think if you look at it for an extended period of time and try and cross your eyes, a big 3D picture of Andrew Gilding emerges from it.
Almost looks like a frozen spider web. Shades of 2018 in mine head. He did use these barrels, I believe, in Glasgow in the Premier League, but I don't think he's used them since. Nothing changes when it comes to Andrew. He's got these golden bomber-style barrels. And he's got more gold on his hand than he did have previously. I wonder if some of the investment from last year's check went onto the left hand.
Yeah, is that a new addition there? Double 7. Peter Wright going safety first with the ball approach for the 93. And it guaranteed him, or it gave him a great chance of getting a dart for the leg. It was at double 7 and he's taken it out.
Yeah, that's what I like to call a Peter Snake Wright bite.
59.
They are new additions, aren't they? Big sovy ring for Andrew Gilding.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Gilding bling. Like it.
It's been down to Ramsden's.
140.
Used to be a thing, that, didn't it, with dart players? They would invest their prize money in a bit of jewellery, like Wolfie used to do, and Bobby and Merv. Merv doesn't wear all of those sovereigns that he had in a previous decade. I think he sold them all. I was seeing plenty of it, glistening in the lens.
Wow, Andrew Gilding is getting a 180 every single leg. So far, he's lost them all. But really good start to this. I mean, of all the games, this has it had a real range, this game. It could be really good, of course it could. But there was a danger that it could have been a bit of a slog, and there's no sign of that in the early stages.
56.
Not at all. I'm sure these two have bumped into each other in many a venue over the last 25 years. But you're looking at two players who, realistically, 15 years ago, they could have bumped into each other in a local tournament around Hertfordshire or Suffolk or Essex and think, do you know what, this might be what we're doing now. We might just have to win things like this. Used to go to events like Harlow and places around North Essex.
97.
15 years later, we're talking about two UK Open champions who really have worked extremely hard just to get where they are. And that gets my respect.
28.
Absolutely.
Andrew,
Peter
you
Wright
require
doing some
109.
brilliant stuff, but that was not brilliant. Opens the door for Andrew Gilding to get his first leg on the board. Single 9. Leaves double top.
89. Peter, you require 150.
Gilding took care of Josh Payne yesterday by 10 legs to 7 on the main stage. And I think it was very respectful that he was given the main stage against Josh in the first game of last night.
Andrew, you require 20.
These are the only two UK Open champions on this board this afternoon. Needs to find this double 10.
No
That
score.
could hurt. This is for another break of throw for Snakebite.
12 for tops? No, it's 20 for double 16.
Games on the third leg.
Double 16 is pinned. It is 3-0 with 2 breaks of throw, despite the fact that Gilding has thrown a maximum in every leg of this match so far.
Game on.
You ever shook hands with Peter Wright?
Yes, I can't remember the specifics of it.
You ever seen his forearms? They're like Popeyes.
55.
Well, former tyre fitter.
Honestly, so strong. You might not think it. You might think he's quite diminutive and obviously very colourful. But honestly, you shake hands with him, his forearms are just so strong.
125.
He's like Paul Casey, the golfer. Very talented at a lot of things, Peter. Spent a lot of time doing up his house, converting it from a barn that was pretty much derelict and turning it into a remarkable property.
43.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of one-upmanship between him and Gerwyn Price about their respective cinema rooms, which Peter Wright has invested an awful lot of money into his. Price has obviously chucked a few quid at the various renovations he's been doing at his place. But they do sound very impressive.
Do either of them have an underground cellar, though?
Who has an underground cellar?
I know someone who has a door in their kitchen, and it leads into a cellar under the kitchen island.
Is it Andrew Gilding? He lives in a flat.
No, Andrew's just got one of those fireman poles that takes him down to answer the door for the
Oh,
Amazon
I
guy.
hope that's the case.
I can imagine him sliding down the pole and saying, "You rang? That's your delivery, Mr. Gilding. We've got you another sovereign ring."
83. PT require 140.
The only thing that's turning to gold right now is Peter Wright. This is not going well for Andrew.
Treble 17 will be the shot from here.
116.
That'll do for Peter Wright. He's probably going there thinking I'll take the ton to leave tops, but in the end he's got 3 darts at double 12 anyway. He'll be happy enough with that.
Leg 10 break on the outside boards. Van der Voort 5, Vandenberg 5, Ratajski 4, King 6. Not brilliant games, but they're only at the halfway point. Wright will be 1 leg away from the halfway point if he hits that 12s, which he has.
Peter Wright, 5th leg Andrew the third.
All going according to plan, but trust me, even if he goes 5-0 up, he's still got a lot of work to do. But this
60.
is not encouraging for Andrew. Even he's starting to put tournament names on his dart shirt. Now, just because certain other players do something, it's amazing how many others join the clan. Things like tournament names on the back of your shirt, which I believe Dave Chisnell was the first to put on.
He certainly was an early adopter of that.
Children's names.
100.
That's quite popular. That's for Peter Wright, everything. I think he's had more shirts than
125.
anybody in the history of darts. I wonder how many different ones he's worn over the last 10 years.
Just to let you know that on the main stage, Nathan Aspinall and Damon Heta are producing another unbelievable
100.
game of darts. It is in a last leg decider. Damon Heta has just missed 2 match darts, and Nathan Aspinall is going to have to take out 142 to win it by 10 legs to 9.
100.
I'll keep you abreast of that one, as another name is about to go in the hat for the last 16. And I'll tell you, Nathan hasn't taken the 142, so it's more match darts incoming for Damon Heta. But Peter Wright is averaging a ton here, and Andrew Gilding, the defending
91.
champion, is very
PT
much
require
on the ropes.
136.
Well, well, well. Does he go for another 60? He did have the option of double-double from that position.
96.
It's amazing how many players don't even think of that when they've got the first 60 in. It's a big ask for Andrew. Does he stay there this time? Well, maybe he should have.
94.
10-9 Heta, having been 8-4 down. The Australian number 1 is in the last 16. And Peter Wright is 5-0 up here against Andrew Gilding. Not just 5-0, that's with 3 breaks of throw. Gilding was scoring well at the start of this game and getting nothing for it. He has since faded in the scoring department, and it is getting worse and worse and worse for Andrew Gilding.
If this is repeated, what we've seen over the last 5 legs, the only break in this game would be the end. 10-0 has happened before in multiple tournaments. I remember when Michael van Gerwen beat Jamie Caven 10-0 in the 2016 match play, and then the following week, Van Gerwen played Caven again in Dusseldorf and beat him 6-0. So in 2 weeks, he was 16-0 up.
I think he then played him at the World Championship and was racing away there. Peter Wright himself has won 10-0 in this tournament in the quarters against Stephen Bunting, or maybe the semis against Stephen Bunting. He has had a big, big win against the Bullets here. In fact, I will tell you.
62.
10-0 Stephen Bunting, the semi-finals in 2015. When he was beaten by Michael van Gerwen in the final.
He's also beaten Raymond van Barneveld in this tournament 9-1. He's got form for this. Watch out, Andrew. We're starting to talk about bagels here. And this is not the Great British Bake Off, it's the Great British Dart Off.
Well, the thumb makes another appearance. It's the 4th time that he's done it, but every time he's done it, he's then lost the leg, and it might be about to happen again. Double 12 for 6 now. Double 6.
75. Andrew, you require 127.
Just to get his first leg, needs to massage the textbook here. 57 ball. Centre.
90.
Not so central.
Peter, you require 6.
This is what I like to call the trapdoor because there's trouble down there.
There may be. 1 for double 1. Looks okay. Oh, it's really good. It's really good from Peter Wright. There's been some very, very good finishing from him in this game so far, but just taking out a very awkward 6. I know there's less pressure on it when you're already 5-0 up, but with Peter Wright, even when we saw him at the Masters and he started a game very, very well, and then it faded, and you can just sense that Peter Wright, because of how long this slump has gone on, he knows that he's trying to get back to his best. But when he started playing well and he's starting to continue, it's lasting for a while, there'll still be a voice in the back of his head saying, this isn't going to carry on, is it? This is the best I've done in ages.
59.
There'll be negativity around it. He can't help it.
We've already referenced the year that he won it in 2017. The last 8 session on that Sunday afternoon is the best session of darts that a lot of people can remember, and that included Peter beating Barneveld 10-8 with an average in excess of 110, his best performance here at Minehead. That was a remarkable game of darts. 5th of March 2017, that
60.
nearly 7 years ago. I didn't get a great deal of work done that afternoon, Dan. I was too busy painting my house, and I ended up watching that afternoon of darts and getting nothing done.
You know, one of the great sessions of darts, and this is a blinding performance from Peter Wright. He's going to have a look at the 1-2-1 for another breaker throw and a 7-0.
100. Peter, you require 121.
121 for 7-0. 96 with 2. 36 with 1. 7-0. My word, this is starting to look like Newcastle versus Sheffield United. And I promise you that East Anglia are having a very good time of it right now if your name is Peter Wright and Mervyn King, who's 9-5 up on Ratajski.
Well, Mervyn King, who has been suffering a horrendous slump of his own. Not as high profile as Peter Wright, obviously. But he could be booking his place in the last 16. Wright looks a nigh on certainty from here. We've got Gary Anderson in there who's been in form but hasn't played particularly well so far this weekend. Luke Littler, the 17-year-old. Johnny Clayton, who's been out of form. Rob Cross, who is bang in form. And arguably the player of the weekend so far from what we've seen. Stephen Bunting. Then a host of players who will see this as a huge opportunity. Ricky Evans, Luke Woodhouse, Jan van Veen, Martin Lukeman, Keane Barrett. Chuck in Dave Chisnell in there as well.
At which point do we have to start saying, somebody get the stage hook for Andrew?
42.
Because what has been a dream 12 months as a UK Open champion is turning into a bit of a nightmare. Defending titles, especially at the UK Open, is very, very hard to do.
140.
Well, from the ashes of Andrew Gilding's title defence, the phoenix of Peter Snakebite Wright might be emerging, because this is 106 average from Peter Wright. This is the best we've seen from him in so long.
Just for a moment, I thought he was going to look at treble 7 there and try and be a bit flashy. But
he's done that before.
He's definitely switched on. I think at this point, his sole motivation should be get him done 10-0. Don't even think about slowing down.
He's struggled for so long, he will show no mercy. If he is able to grind opponents into the dust, it does not matter who they are, he will want to do it.
30.
3 missed darts for Peter Wright, and it's not 8-0 just yet, but you feel it's coming.
He probably wouldn't mind missing 3 darts at double there had he left 20. But now that he's left 10, things are just getting a little bit squiffy at the end of leg 8. And these darts are going in fairly flat, so that's why he's splitting it. Great choice. 2 more legs. And he could be into the last 16 before 4 o'clock.
Well, we are now in miracle territory for Andrew Gilding.
It's almost like he needs 4 wishes and he's only going to get 3. Somebody give him 2 genie lamps to shine.
He's only had 5 darts at double in this game. He missed 4 of them in that 3rd leg. The only other chance he's had was the bullseye for a 127 after he'd hit a 180 to set it up. So apart from that 3rd leg, Andrew Gilding, the only chance he's had is by nearly clearing 307 points in 2 visits to the board. He has been shut out of every other leg.
It was always going to be a tall task for him to defend the title. I mentioned earlier that MVG, Taylor and Barneveld are the only players to have won this title 2 years in a row. It's not looking very likely that Gilding's going to get a leg in this last 32 match. We will be back from 7 o'clock here on PDC TV for live coverage of the last 16. 4 matches here on board 2, 4 matches on board 3, 4 matches on board 4, and 4 on the main stage as well, as we go down to a 4 board system, and everybody will be hoping to be part of 1 board tomorrow.
40. PT require 90.
Where's he going here? At least 78, so stay in that region.
Just lay it on top. Just there for double 12. 9-0. It is a rout. It is a massacre. Look how they massacred my boy, Andrew Gilding.
10th leg, Peter the throw first.
This really is merciless from Snakebite. Penny for the thoughts of the defending champion.
100.
Wright's demeanour has not changed since the very first dart of the tournament. He's been so focused. Even when he was given an outside board yesterday, which was a bit of a shock to some people. He got rid of Joshua Richardson in 13 legs. That was a big win. He didn't need a great deal of maximums or big finishes. He just needed a 94 average. But he has gone up a notch here. And this, if he does win 10-0, it'll be a statement.
42.
Yeah, he's lost 3 legs so far in the entire weekend. Unbelievable stuff from Peter Wright. I know there have been some false dawns. There have been times, there have been games, there have been days. You know, he's actually won a fair few games on the Pro Tour at the start of this year. But then there's still been those frailties in games in the Premier League. There've still been subpar performances. But this is the biggest sign yet.
He had a bad year last year, according to most people.
95.
He still won a Euro Tour and a major.
I mean, it was a bad year for him, but it is the year of dreams for some darts players.
But if it comes together like it did in Prague last year, he can do a lot
95.
right, no pun intended. And he is a 2-time world champ, 2-time European champ, he'd love to be a 2-time UK Open champ as well.
76.
Andrew Gilding has got a chance here to avoid the whitewash.
This would be somewhat cruel. As a defense of the title, he did well to beat Josh Payne yesterday by 10 legs to 7, but the exit door is screaming his name at the minute.
At the minute, that flashy new Sovy ring is
26.
not the only big circular thing
126.
associated with Andrew Gilding. It's the 0 next to his name in the legs column. He can change that here. He's got 2 visits from 126, which is why he goes on the 20s.
94.
Brilliant visit, that. Brilliant visit. It'll be really interesting to see his reaction if he hits double 16, because most players would just turn to the crowd and say, yay, I got a leg. I don't think we're going to get anything from Andrew.
135.
But he must hit it if he wants to stop himself being beaten by 10 legs to 0.
Right, leaves himself 27. Gilding has a leg. The comeback is on. And it is not the breaking of the Gilding fans' hearts you hear. It is the music for the break in the game. We're actually going to get. We'll be back in a few minutes to watch Andrew Gilding win 9 consecutive legs and continue the defence of his title. We are back, but for how much longer? Peter Wright and Andrew Gilding. This might be 9 legs worth of frantic entertainment. It might be 1 leg and just an execution of the defending champion. Peter Wright leads by 9 legs to 1. He's been averaging about 105, 106 for big chunks of this game. It dropped down in that last leg, but it's still in excess of 101, and it is the brightest sign that Peter Wright is emerging from his hibernation as a top darts player. It is a tournament that has already lost some massive names, including Michael van Gerwen, the pre-tournament favourite. It has lost Michael Smith, the world number 3. And we have just seen Dimitri Vandenberg book his place in the last 16. Luke Humphries, the world number 1, is yet to get underway. He's about to start on the main stage. Damon Hetter has seen off Nathan Aspinall, and Mervyn King and Christoph Ratajski are in a last leg decider. Peter Wright is looking to book his place in the 6th round, the last 16. He needs 1 more leg to do it. We have seen games change after these mid-game breaks, but this doesn't have to change. It has to be utterly transformed from what we have seen in the first 10 legs of it.
I can't ever remember anybody coming back from a margin like this. But you just never know. It would be superhuman, and it would never be forgotten if it happens. But in every likelihood, Snakebite will get the job done, and it may just be a matter of time before this Suffolk derby, based on where they live, is over. Mervyn King has 108 points to be in the last 16. Ratajski is only at the halfway point of the last leg. It's so tight in that game. I'll keep you up to date with what happens. It could be over in the next few seconds, just like this match.
Certainly could. Peter Wright looking to get the job done. Andrew Gilding, he can't afford to have 1 bad leg. Nothing wrong with that.
Got to admire his spirit, because he is constantly chirped away to himself, trying to get more from his game, but time is running out.
140.
How many more times are we going to see the thumb in this game?
100.
Maybe none. Well, Peter will just want to get this done. He doesn't want any faffing at all.
And he is down to a finish. Gilding's on a better one. 60-60 double 8. Now Peter Wright,
40.
To win it in sensational fashion. It's been a sensational display from him, made even better by the context. But he's not going to take out the 161 to wrap things up.
45. Andrew, you require 96.
To save the match again. He's going to need 519s. There's 3 of them.
77.
This is a more realistic chance than a 161.
116.
It's actually an anagram of 161 of sorts. That's a nice lie for the 60. Just slide it over the top.
It's there. Double 18 to win it. The title defence is over. Andrew Gilding is not just beaten, he is beaten into the ground. He will not be a back-to-back UK Open champion, but Peter Wright could be a 2-time winner of this title, because that is a sign that Snakebite is back, or at least on his way back. A brilliant display. He has only lost 4 legs in this tournament so far, and he is in the hat for the last 16. That wraps up the action from here on stage 2. We'll be back this evening with 4 more games for you and players fighting it out to reach the quarter-finals of the UK Open, and Peter Wright may be among them.